All right, folks, here we go. ATS.io, Brian Blessing in Las Vegas, and we're talking about the AFC Championship game with Buffalo at Kansas City. The opening number over at the Superbook at the Westgate was 2.5 minus $1.20, total 54.5. It settled on 3 pretty quickly. Patrick Mahomes, there's the question mark. He had the toe, then the concussion. You got to believe it's a championship game, a Super Bowl berth's on the line. He'll find a way. Chad Henne comes in, does really good work, helps them close out the game. So this is a number that was deflated because of the uncertainty with Patrick Mahomes, but they wanted to get a number up. You can't wait all week and not have a number. I believe the consensus number was going to be KC 4, maybe 4.5, had Mahomes not got nicked up in the game. But nonetheless, it's sitting on 3. 54.5. Weather forecast for a 6:40 Eastern kickoff. 43 degrees is the high in the day, so at night it'd be probably in the high 30s. And there's a mix of flurries and rain potentially for the game. The Bills had to just play in this hideous weather wind game at Orchard Park, and it was a little windy in the game with the Browns as well. The irony here, and I'll throw this in there for our good friend Adam Burke and his Browns, it's been my pet peeve. I bang this drum every year. I say it all the time. Some coach, it happens 10 times a weekend. Some coach is going to blow a Super Bowl by squandering timeouts in the second half of games. Take the 5-yard penalty. The oxygen tanks are the timeouts. Don't waste them. Frank Reich and the Colts wasted the timeouts. Might have been a different outcome against the Bills a couple of weeks ago. Stefanski and the Browns, bad challenge, and then on a first down play, they took a timeout. I'd take the 5 yards, 1st and 15. That timeout's way more important than those 5 yards. And those 2 timeouts at the end did the Browns no favors, but they played their hearts out. And Kansas City was pushed to the limit. But Mahomes was kind of dancing around on one foot a little bit. He was still effective. But we know all about Kelsey and Hill and the weapons they have. This team's a bunch of studs. The running game, though, still has a little suspect, although now Williams is a real part of the equation, and he looked good against the Browns. Don't forget, the Bills, they beat the Ravens. Their defense, Teron Johnson with the 101-yard interception for a touchdown. The real story for the Bills is their defense is starting to play the way they did the previous 2 years when Allen had no weapons, and they were a top-5 defense. And everybody keeps pointing back to the week, I believe it was the Week 6 game, October 19th. 26-17 was the final score. Kansas City gets the win in Buffalo. But it was a short week for the Bills, who had to wait around. They didn't know if they were preparing for Tennessee or Kansas City because Tennessee had the COVID thing. They ended up playing Tennessee. It was close in the fourth quarter. Tennessee lit them up. And then the Bills had the short week to play on a Monday afternoon against the Chiefs. Kansas City ran the ball incredibly well in that game. I mean, they ran it down the Bills' throat. But the bottom line is everybody that talks about the game, KC ran all over them. With like 5-6 minutes to go in that game, the Bills had not played their best at all. But they had a 3rd and 13 and a 3rd and 7. And to Mahomes' credit, he scrambled once through for the first down. But the Bills literally had a chance to get the ball right back for Allen with a chance down 6 to go down and win the game. They ended up losing 26-17. So the game was not this massive blowout that everybody makes it out to be. And the other thing that not a soul in the world is talking about is that 2 weeks prior to that, playing here in Las Vegas, Allen got knocked out of the game at the end of the first half. He had to go to the locker room. He popped his shoulder out. And they never said exactly how bad it was. He never made an excuse for it. But for a few weeks, and the 2 weeks that they lost to Tennessee and Kansas City on his non-throwing shoulder, Allen was wearing a shoulder brace. And they were the 2 least effective games the kid had all year long. This is the matchup people have been waiting for. Mahomes and Allen, the 1 seed, the 2 seed. And honestly, the Bills' defense, and don't go nuts on me, they're not Tyreek Hill. They're not Travis Kelce. But the Bills' offense kind of mirrors what the Chiefs try to accomplish. They've got weapons all over the field. Beasley moves the chains on 3rd down. Diggs was the best receiver in football this year. It's hard to argue that. He led in receptions, big plays, and in receiving yards. John Brown's back now, and he's been so-so. But you've got a guy like McKenzie that can come in. Beasley moves the chains. Gabriel Davis is the big matchup guy they've got in the red zone. And Dawson Knox is a big athletic tight end, nowhere near what a Travis Kelce is. But the fact of the matter is they have 5 serviceable guys that are getting separation and getting open for Allen, and the offensive line is giving him time to throw. The one big thing here said if it's going to catch up to the Bills, it's the fact that they don't run the ball. And if they get a lead in this game, if they have the lead, they're going to need to run the ball to close these guys out. The Chiefs, 3 straight AFC championship games at home, trying to defend their Super Bowl title. Matching wits, don't lose sight of this one. I personally think Sean McDermott should be the coach of the year. I know Stefanski gets all this love. The Browns, first time forever. Well, the Bills, 25 years, is they win a playoff game and win the AFC East. I think that's a pretty salty accomplishment for McDermott. And he comes from the Andy Reid tree. So he knows a lot of Andy Reid's tricks. It's going to be a great game. It's the AFC championship game. The weather be damned. If the wind is not a thing, there'll be points in this game. A pretty juicy amount of points. But it's going to be fun. The winner moves on to Tampa Bay and the Super Bowl.